back to 𝑑𝑻𝑪𝒅𝒂. Today we're going to deck for the Temple of Transylvania, featuring the new Gliscor from Lost Origin with the Hurricane Shock attack, flipping 4 coins and doing 50x damage for each head for 2 fighting energy. You also get to paralyze your opponent's active Pokemon if you get at least 2 heads. So we're trying to use this card with our Lucario from Brilliant Stars with the Roaring Resolve ability, allowing you to search your deck for a fighting energy and attach it to this Pokemon as you put 2 damage counters on it. It also has the Aura Sphere Volley attack, discarding all fighting energy from this Pokemon, doing 60x damage for each card you discard in this way, plus 10 base. We also have 1 energy switch and 2 Raihan Turbo's attack with Gliscor, making it easier for us to use Hurricane Shock. For the draw support, we have 1 Bibarel, 1 Snorlax, and 1 Radiant Venusaur. To help us revive our stage 1 attackers, we're playing 1 Zoroark and 2 Ordinary Rods. To support our Gliscor, we're also playing 4 Glimwood Tangles and 2 Blunder Policy. For the damage boost, we have 1 Grand to help us do 30 extra damage. You also get to keep retrieving and using this supporter by discarding 2 cards from your hand. To summon our basic Pokemons, we have 3 Vapor Pass, 3 Quick Ball, and 3 Level Balls. For the evolution, we have 3 Incense and 2 Ultra Balls. For the switch, we have 1 Escape Rope, 1 Scope of Night, 1 Switch, and 1 Bird Keeper. On to our supporters, we've got 1 Marnie, 1 Research, 1 Cynthia, 1 Bruno, and 1 Boss's Orders. Finally, for the energies, we're playing 10 basic fighting. So that's all for the deck list, and be sure to grab yourself some packs from our sponsor at XTrainer90 Team to build your very own deck from any cards in format. They even sell online codes for character rares, full art, and gold cards to expand your collection. So check out the link in the description below or click on the top right corner of this video to enhance your PTCG experience. Use code BTT for 5% off any products to get yourself some lovely cards. And now for the moment of truth, let's go for some gameplays! Okay, let's go with our first game versus Ice Rider. We got Ice Rider and Inteleon. I think it's from the League Battle deck. It's pretty strong on its own, so they may have new cards added, or they may just play the base one. They actually have the switch from Soul Silver, Heart Gold, Soul Silver expansions. So we got our level ball to start and our energy. We actually get to charge it up on our first turn. Gligar on the bench, which is pretty cool. So I thought about using Hood for this deck because Hood actually protects your benched Pokemon's energy cards. Basic energy on your benched Pokemon cannot be discarded by effects of item or supporter cards. So it's a very specific ability. It only works on your bench, and it only guards against item and supporters, and it only protects your energies, your basic energies, from being discarded. If they put those cards back into your hand or at the top of your deck with Clefairy, it still works. Clefairy only works on your active Pokemon, by the way, so if it's not on your bench, they still get to discard it. So if they play a boss, Hood's ability doesn't work anymore. They still get to play Team Yell's Grunt. Fan of Waves only works for special energy anyways, so they still get to Crushing Hammer, discard your energy if they boss something into the active. So Hood is not a good card, honestly, unless you play a full basic energy deck, and if you want to be charging out your bench every single turn, keeping those energy in play, that would actually be quite helpful. So we played our Escape Rope, waiting for our opponent to put something forth. Are they going to put the Sobble? Probably the Sobble, right? Or the Crobat. At least we can kill for 1 prize this turn. We got our Gliscor ready to go, doing Hurricane Shock for a knockout. I think we don't actually have our Glimwood Tangle or the Blunder Policy. So good thing about Blunder Policy is that it actually helps you flip better coins. I don't know why, but if you have a Blunder Policy attached, you get a higher chance of getting hits. You get more heads with your Hurricane Shock. Because for some reason, they don't want you to draw cards. The algorithm is kind of against players drawing cards. And if you have that tool card attached, they want to make sure you flip as much heads as possible and 0 tails so that you draw 0 cards and then get stuck on your next turn. And, you know, by that reasoning, it actually means you would get a higher chance of doing more damage with that attack, plus the paralysis effect. You get to also paralyze your opponent's active Pokemon if you have at least 2 heads in the game, and you know, 2 out of 4 is not really that difficult. It's 50-50, and you know, if you have a Glimwood Tangle, you're quite likely to get the paralysis effect. It's not a big effect though. They can quite easily evolve or switch their Pokemon to reverse, to remove the special condition, but they cannot retreat, which is a good thing. And if they don't have the switch card, they may get stuck. If they play air balloons in their deck, they cannot actually, you know, they can't attack, and they are forced to pass the turn doing nothing, which is actually a big plus for us. I think they're playing a lot more air balloons than switch. They actually have a switch though. We saw it in the mulligan just now. A couple of switches in the deck, and they get to they can quite easily search for it with their shady dealings. So all they need to do is scoop up their Inteleon and recycle the ability. We all know how annoying this ability is. It's gonna get rotated soon. So happy about that. No more shady in standard is gonna be such a big relief. So Lumineon is gonna be the new Crobat, essentially. Maybe Kricketune might see use as well, because we don't have Eldegoss V, we have no more Crobat V. Eldegoss really doesn't see much play anyways. And there really is no other V Pokemons with abilities that's worth playing. Anyways, here comes the VMAX. They better be attacking with the VMAX right now. We already drew our first prize, and for some reason they are a bit slow for this game, and they just retreated to something else. So no energy, no evolution. They do have another extra Sobble on the bench though. I don't know why they're not getting anything. And here comes another energy on the Gliscor on the bench. We even got a Bibarel already set up on the bench. That's great. Now we just need to get either a Riolu or a Zora. Let's just get the Zora. We're gonna bench the Zora and just kind of have a mix of everything on our bench. Zoroark is actually not quite, it doesn't actually fit that well. That's why I only have one copy. I prefer to have like more Gliscors and more Lucario. I would prefer to have 3 copies of each, honestly, each attackers, and no Zoroark at all. Maybe like 1 or 2 rods. 1 rod would be enough though. 3 Lucarios and 3 Gliscor with 1 rod. I prefer having that list just because Zoroark, if you transform into Lucario too late, you won't be able to collect enough energies for you to collect a to hit big, to swing for a massive knockout with your Aura Sphere Volley. So Aura Sphere Volley is going to do a lot of damage eventually, because you are waiting on the bench, you are sitting on the bench doing nothing, and you get to Roaring Resolve every single turn while paralyzing your opponent's active Pokemon. If they don't get the switch, you got another extra turn to get another energy with your ability. That's an extra energy in the game, and over time, you would have enough energy to kill a VMAX with 1 hit using Lucario. If they don't boss it, if they don't switch to reverse the special condition, if they don't switch fast enough and do the boss at the same time, they cannot deal with the 1-hit knockout that you have on your bench. That OHKO condition on your next turn with your Lucario is going to be big for you. It's going to be huge because you got so much damage in the game. You even got your Grand to add 30 more damage in the discard pile. If you have it discarded with your Quick Ball, you can still revive it by discarding 2 cards from your hand. You can keep on using Grand, so that's probably better than your Choice Belt, because Choice Belt, if it gets discarded, you cannot recycle that anymore. That's why instead of the tool card, I decided to add the supporter instead. Since we're playing Blunder Policy, we cannot actually fit in that many tool cards if we want to be getting that particular one into our hand. Playing Toolbox though would be quite smart if you want to be adding a couple of different tool cards in the deck, but I prefer just to focus on one and then play a supporter for the damage boost instead. Okay, here comes their first knockout with Ice Rider, and we're gonna do Gliscor, our second one, Hurricane Shock for hopefully a special condition. If we can paralyze it right now, we may be able to kill it with our Lucario. Well, we can definitely kill it with our Lucario. We even got a Raihan this turn, which is great. We should be attaching the extra energy on the Gligar because we actually have it in our hand right now. So we're playing 3 copies of Gliscor for this list. If you guys don't already notice, For the final version, we only have 2 copies of both Gliscor and Lucario. But for this version, for this game, we experimented with 3 copies of Gliscor and only 1 Rod, and I'm not sure what else we have less of. We have 1 less other card for this list to replace for that extra copy of Gligar. So we got both the Stadium and the Tool card. That means we have a higher chance of flipping enough coins for the Confusion, for the Paralysis, my bad, and also extra damage in the game. We got 150 damage, that means we need to discard. We need much less discards with our Lucario. So 160 damage is not enough though. So Lucario still needs at least 3 energy to kill off the Ice Rider on the bench. And we may need to do a boss if they retreat to the other Ice Rider to attack. They actually have enough energy, but they retreated to the same one though. I'm not sure why they actually retreated to the same one. I think they wanted to, you know, make full use of the game. Maybe they're just a beginner and they don't know what they're doing. They should really be attacking with the second VMAX. If they have a third one, they should be attacking with the second one. Okay, Inteleon is going to deny us from collecting extra energies from the deck with our Roaring Resolve, because eventually we won't be able to use the ability anymore. So it's basically controlling Lucario from getting more energies. We're gonna do it anyways. We're gonna Roaring Resolve 1 last time on the next turn. So Lucario is probably much more stronger than Gliscor, my bad. And if you want to add 3 copies of something, I would recommend putting 3 copies of Lucario instead of the Gliscor. So maybe 1 less Rod and 1 more Lucario, just because it's that powerful. That's why we have an Energy Recycler in this deck. Energy Recycler for Lucario is very, very smart. And I would prefer focusing more on Lucario just because it's that powerful. But we want to be featuring our Gliscor, right? Gliscor can still do a power effect. It can actually buy us time for Lucario to do a lot of damage. So it's buying us time for that ability to take effect a lot more turns than it usually would be able to. We get to use the Roaring Resolve more times for more turns, doing extra damage with Aura Sphere Volley. I think we don't have any, I see, we don't have a recycler for this deck, but we do have an extra copy of Gligar, 1 less Ordinary Rod as well. So Ordinary Rod is actually quite difficult to play. I would actually just play only 1 copy. I don't really know what's the best thing to do, honestly, for this deck, but the highest win rate, the final upgrade is always the best. I always show the best upgrade, the best version of my decks. And you know, when I first built, I actually put in 4 copies of Gliscor, and eventually I put in 3 copies, and it still didn't have that high of a win rate. It still didn't work that well. It didn't do that well against you know, a variety of matchups, and eventually I had to cut it down to 2 copies, only 2 copies of each Gligar, Gliscor, and Lucario. I keep calling it the wrong name, sorry guys. And eventually I got like a little bit higher than average. So 6 out of 11 is kind of more than 50%, and I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that win rate because it's more than 50%. So they don't really allow you to play that many copies if you're playing a stage 1 deck, especially if you need that many energies to attack. We need 2 energies for Gliscor, 2 fighting energy, which is a huge demand, honestly. So here comes the second Ice Rider. We got 1 prize remaining, but we actually have to deal with this VMAX right now. I don't think we have an escape rope or boss anymore. If we have it though, we can actually target any other Pokemon and kill it off with a Lucario, a transformed Lucario with Zoroark and Raihan. That would be enough. Raihan for the energy, Roaring Resolve attached from the hand, and we got 180 damage in the game, 190 actually, to kill off anything on the bench with Escape Rope. But I'm pretty sure we already discarded it. So playing a Bibarel and Radiant Venusaur forces you to discard your hand as you go. Same thing as your Genesect V, Mew VMAX format. You know, tech, draw support. So we're gonna play our Bruno right now. We actually got limited energy for this list, so we have to be very careful because we have no energy recycler for this list. That's why we are being very, very careful right now, thinking whether we should be attaching the energy after evolving and transforming into a Lucario with our Zoroark, or should we be attaching it to the Gliscor? We actually have our energy switch though. I'm pretty sure we have 2 copies of energy switch for this game, but I eventually decided on only 1 copy of the energy switch, which is actually enough, because if you can't attack with Gliscor first, you can still do Lucario or a Sphere Volley to attack as your first attack is still okay. We want to be featuring this deck off of Gliscor though. We want to be using the new card, but if you attack with Aura Sphere with Lucario first, you can at least save yourself on your next turn to attack with Gliscor using Hurricane Shock by playing a Raihan or doing an energy switch after your first Lucario. Because Lucario can actually attack early if you evolve it fast by just using its ability. Just because its ability is that powerful, it needs 2 energies, but if you use Roaring Resolve, you already have enough energy in the game to do Aura Sphere Volley for 130 damage, which is not bad. And then if you have an energy switch, you can do even more from your other Lucario. But since we're only playing 2 copies, we want to be focusing on doing Hurricane Shock for this game, for this video. And we want to be featuring this attack, which is pretty cool. You get to flip 4 coins. You get to do up to a maximum of 200 damage with this attack, 230 if you play a Grant. And then you get to even draw 3 cards if you play a Blunder Policy, flipping 0, not 0 heads, my bad. If you flip at least 1 tails, all you need is 1 tails for you to get, for you to draw 3 cards with that tool card. So it doesn't matter if you flip like, if you get all 4 heads though. If you get 4 heads, which is very unlikely, you won't be able to draw any cards, but you would be able to do a lot of damage. So it's a good trade-off. That's why I say Blunder Policy is such an important card if you flip that many coins in a game. I've matched up against a Duck Trio deck, Rapid Strike Duck Trio. I've seen a player use that deck before, and they actually did really well with that Blunder Policy and Glimwood Tangle. They got a lot of heads many times. They are able to get full 3 heads with the 3 coin flips and preventing all damage and effects of attacks on their next turn on the Duck Trio. And that's actually really powerful. That means your opponent needs to keep on playing Escape Rope Boss to basically collect an extra prize every single turn. If they don't deal with the effect of attack, if they don't have Duraludon VMAX or Max Miracle to get past that effect, they cannot kill the Duck Trio every single turn, which is very broken. Ridiculous, right? They keep on flipping full on 3 heads. But that Blunder Policy is just mad. It's ridiculous. So that's why I say it's so important. If you flip more than 2 coins, you need the Blunder Policy, even with 2 coins though. If you flip only 2 coins, I think it's very likely for you to draw, for you to flip all heads, because for some reason they don't want you to draw cards. The game doesn't want you to draw cards. I don't know why it just works that way. They hate it. They would much prefer you do extra damage. Okay, now we have our Lucario. We actually have to play our Brilliant Stars Pokemon attacker instead of the new Lost Origin one. We got our Snorlax early, but we do have a switch, my bad. So let's do Gormandize. We have 4 Stadium cards to spare, so let's just play it. I know they have a Magma Basin, but let's just do our Stadium card right now. I don't think we need to be using the attack that many times. We have our Lucario to fall back on, so let's just play that 1 Stadium card. They actually did not use Magma Basin this turn, so we don't have a Gliscor to attack though. We don't have enough energy. No, can't evolve this turn either, so that Stadium is probably going to be wasted, but it's okay. We got 3 more to spare. Okay, we're going to just discard the Rod because we have 2 copies and put the Grant back so that we get to draw an extra card with Gormandize, because I don't think we can afford to wait. We don't have a Bibarel, no Bidoof on our bench. We're forced to draw extra cards with Gourmandize. They actually got a pretty late start. Bullshit for Charizard VSTAR. Quite unusual for a VSTAR deck. For some reason, if you play an evolution V though, VMAX or VSTAR is quite difficult to get the evolution. I don't know why. You need 4 incense and like at least 1 or 2 Ultra Balls. If you don't have an Ultra Ball in addition to 4 incense and 3 copies of your VMAX or VSTAR, it's not that easy to get the evolution. I don't know why this game is that difficult. You need a lot of items to search for them. Maybe Great Ball would be good in standard right now. I don't know if Great Ball would work. Lure Module, maybe. Great Ball would be better though. It's like the top 7 cards of a deck. Lure Module is only top 3 from Pokemon Go set. Quite a quirky card. Funny card to play. It forces your opponent to put extra cards into their hand though. They are forced to put Pokemon at the top 3 cards of their deck into their hand. Let's just focus on the game at hand. So right now we have a Research and a Cynthia in our hand. We can draw extra cards. No Bibarel. We got it priced. It's okay. Let's just wait for it. We're just gonna bench it. If they do Avery, we're just gonna discard the Bibarel. We're not gonna be bothered with it. I think we drew enough cards with the Snorlax for us to get the evolution. If they play a Marnie though, we actually don't have any supporter cards on the next turn. So we already draw all. I don't think we have any more draw supports from the deck, but that one Bird Keeper. So if they play a Marnie right now, it would be terrible. But thank God, here comes a Pride. So no Marnie, we're safe. It's a very unusual deck. They should be playing the Magma Basin, but they have Path to the Peak with Marnie's Pride and no draw support. No Bibarel, no Chinchino. They are a bit slow, but I don't really care. At least we're up against a VSTAR. So if we win against this game, I would be quite happy. Even if they don't have a proper draw system, it's still a big win because it's a VSTAR. Okay, we got enough energy for Gliscor. We actually need the evolution though. So fingers crossed Bruno gets us something. It should be getting us something, right? If we don't get the evolution by now, it would be quite, I don't know, frustrating. It would be quite terrible because we have enough incense. 3 incense, 2 Outer Ball, and we did Gourmandize so many times already. It's a bit ridiculous not getting the evolution by now. We got a Raihan on the next turn. If they switch and kill us with the Magma Basin, we can save ourselves quite easily with the Raihan. There we go, the escape rope. So Paralysis is quite easy to reverse. Opponent can play escape rope, switch, Bird Keeper, evolutions. There are a lot of ways to remove the special condition. They can even do Virizion, Virizion V, or Aromatic Energy, Aroma Lady, all the aromatic cards. We have, what's it called again? Radiant Serena for the next set. So Radiant Serena from Silver Tempest actually allows you to recover 20 damage from all of your Pokemon every single turn, once during a turn, and also a special condition, if I'm not mistaken. You get to recover a special condition from your active as well, I think. I'm not too sure. Or maybe it's the attack though. I think it's the attack. The attack allows you to recover all special condition from this Pokemon. So I don't think you get to recover special conditions. Only damage. Heal 20 damage from each of your Pokemon once during your turn. Okay, there we go. Roaring Resolve on the bench while we wait for the Charizard to come out. And we actually decided to just kill it with a Bidoof, because we don't want to be wasting our energies. I don't think we have a recycler for this game as well. So no recycler means we need to be conserving our energies as much as we can and not wasting them for the retreat cost. So they didn't have a proper draw support. That's why they're not getting anything. They should be having enough supporter cards though. We only have 1 research, 1 Marnie, a total of 5 supporters. We only have 5 supporters for this deck to draw cards. So if they have more supporter cards than us, they should be getting it, right? They should be getting their research, their Marnie. All we have is 1 Cynthia, 1 Bruno, 1 Marnie, 1 research, and 1 Birdkeeper. That's it. No other cards to draw cards. 2 Raihan for the energies, but as we all know, we can't play Raihan if they don't knock out our Pokemon. Raihan doesn't always work. If they play special conditions, damage counters to kill your Pokemon, effects of attacks, you cannot play Raihan at all. Okay, here comes Hurricane Shock. They actually retreated to the second Charizard VSTAR, so now we have to deal with the second copy. Fingers crossed we get at least 2 heads for the Paralysis. Are we gonna play the Grand? I don't think we can play a supporter card anymore. So we do have a Recycler. Surprise, surprise, we do have a Recycler for this game. We got all 4 tails, so we should be getting at least 2 heads right now. Come on, there we go. We got 3 heads. Pretty lucky, thank God. Glimwood Tangle helped us a lot. A lot of games though, not a lot of games, but some games I got pretty unlucky. Like only 1 heads with like a Glimwood in play. We don't have a Blunder Policy. That's why Blunder Policy is so important. If you don't attach that tool card, you may get only 1 heads. Even if you flip the coin a second time with your Glimwood Tangle, you may only get 1 heads from the 4 coin flips. If you play the deck too many times though, I play this deck a lot of times. Every time I build a deck, I would like to go for a lot of gameplays until I perfect the list. Because if you don't perfect the list, there's just no point playing this game. It's always better to just find the best combo and the best ratio and the numbers that work best, so that you actually get to, you know, make the deck work. Make that card as powerful as possible. Give it the best, you know, a best shot in meta. The best shot in standard meta. If it doesn't have a shot, it just doesn't, right? It's not too bad though, because we have Lucario to do big damage after Hurricane Shock. And that 1 Recycler to help us recover the energy. So that we get to keep on looping and playing our Sphere Volley, eventually killing off a VMAX or VSTAR after hitting with our Gliscor. So it's actually not bad. If they boss the Lucario, we can still do Hurricane Shock a second time, possibly doing 200 damage for the knockout anyways. So it's still not too bad. Gliscor may be able to collect the knockout after hitting a second time. I would prefer playing a 3rd copy though. If we have the space for 3 Blunder Policy, I would definitely do it. I would definitely do 3 Blunder Policy and 4 Glimwood Tangles. I really want like so many cards in this deck, but we don't have the space for it. I want 3 Gliscors, 3 Lucario, maybe no Zoroark, because Zoroark doesn't really work that well, but I don't think we have a choice, because Zoroark allows you to transform to anything, and if you don't play a Zoroark, it's much more difficult for you to evolve into, you know, whatever you want, because that transformation actually allows you to choose whichever, you know, Pokemon to transform into, and that may be a really, really powerful thing. But for this deck, I think it would be better to play 3 copies of Lucario, but it would defeat the purpose of making, you know, calling this video a Gliscor video. If you play 3 copies of Lucario, if you play more Lucario than Gliscor, it would really defeat the purpose of calling this video a Gliscor deck. So that's why we only have 2 copies and 1 Zoroark. 2 rods, not too bad. Only 1 coin, there we go. We chose not to play our Glimwood Tangle this turn because we want to be saving it for the Charizard, but we should be I think we should have done it. Honestly, we should have done it though, because if we kill the Charmander, all we need to do is knock out the VSTAR, and that actually gives us the final 2 prize for the win. We got our Lucario on the bench ready to go, and we're just gonna keep the Glimwood because we have our tool card attached. I don't think we would be flipping all 4 tails. There we go, we got 2 heads for 100 damage. Okay, we got 3 cards, so be careful with your blunder policy. You may deck yourself out with a tool card. If you draw too many cards playing Hurricane Shock, you may end up decking yourself out. So make sure you check the deck, how many cards you have left, and choose when to play your Marnie. You can save yourself with your Marnie and your Bruno. We have 2 copies of, you know, those 2 cards inclusive. And if you play it at the right time, you can actually save yourself. So they played a Judge, giving us 10 more turns in a game. But if we play the blunder policy though, we may draw even more on the next turn. Are we going to do Bird Keeper and attack with the second Gliscor? I think we should be doing that. But we have 9 cards left. I think we should be fine. We even have a Marnie. So let's just do Hurricane Shock with this Gliscor. We should be getting at least 2 heads. There we go, to kill the Oranguru. And now we just need to deal with either the Hawlucha. We need, I think, 3 heads, because it has resistance. I think it's 90 HP. So Hawlucha would be a bit more difficult to kill. We still need 3 heads for Charizard though. If we play the Grant, we just need 2 heads. Same goes for Hawlucha. So all we need is either, you know, Hurricane Shock or Lucario to kill off for the final prize. And here comes Lucario with Raihan. We got enough, more than enough to kill the VSTAR right now. But I don't think we have any more energies in the deck. We actually played our Recycler and now we have no more energies left. We have the switch though, the energy switch. So we actually get to do 250 damage right now, killing off the VSTAR with more than enough damage, and they just conceded. So we won against Charizard VSTAR with no proper draw support, but I'm still happy with that. It's still a big win. I don't care. Okay. Right now we're up against a single strike Urshifu VMAX with Houndoom and Mustard. So they are playing Mustard with Abomasnow as well. They got the full single strike team. But not, I don't think they're playing any other attackers. Only the single strike Urshifu for the primary attack. And also Houndoom for the support. Abomasnow, maybe Ambor, I don't know. Because they're playing Mustard. Okay, we're gonna quick ball for Gligar. It's always better to attack with Gliscor first, then Lucario, even though it's easier for, you know, even though it's easier for you to play Aura Sphere Volley, I think it's just always healthier to go for Hurricane Shock. Because that way you get to keep the Lucario on the bench, doing Roaring Resolve every single turn, collecting more and more energies as you go, while paralyzing your opponent's active. So that is the main strategy we want to be pulling off. Every single game if you can, focus on attacking with your Gliscor early. But if you can't though, it's still forgivable. You have that one Zoroark to transform back into your Lucario. If they boss, kill it off. I think that's why we play a Zoroark. Because boss is so common. Zoroark is there just so to, you know, force your opponent to waste the boss. Make them kind of, you know, make them feel terrible for playing a boss. Because whatever they kill, we got our Zoroark to transform back into the dead Pokemon. So it doesn't matter if they boss anything. Okay, we got the Paralysis and we got triple draw with our Venusaur, which is pretty cool. a basic Pokemon helping us draw, fill up our hand for the next turn. So this game, we actually got quite unlucky. We don't have a Bidoof, we don't have Snorlax, we did not do Gormandize or Bibarel evolution until our third turn. If we don't get a Bidoof by now, it would be quite unlucky. But, well, we got our Venusaur. I think it's enough. So that's why we're playing 3 different supports. We have 1 Bibarel, 1 Snorlax, and 1 Venusaur. Whatever we get, we can still save ourselves. It's still okay. Bibarel is a bit more difficult because you need to evolve it. But we have enough Incense and Ultra Ball for that. It doesn't really matter. Obviously, it's much more easier for you to do Gormandize. If you have it priced though, we have our Venusaur to fall back on. So we got 3 VIP, 3 Level Ball, 3 Quick Ball to summon our basic Pokemons. But Level Ball doesn't work for your Radiant Venusaur or Snorlax. It does work for your Bidoof though. And here comes our second strike, killing off the Houndoom. All we need is 1 heads, because they don't have an Abomasnow. It is 130 HP though, a little bit higher than normal stage 1s. So Rapid Strike Urshifu, GMX Rapid Flow is not enough. Not quite enough to kill 2 Houndooms. That's the reason it has a little bit higher, that 10 extra HP. Because if you play Single Strike Roar onto this, onto itself, if you roar onto the Houndoom, you actually have 20 less HP because you have to put 2 damage counters on itself. And there we go, they played the Mustard for another Houndoom. Benched a Snubber, ready to evolve for Toughness boost, adding 50 HP to all of their Single Strike Pokemon, except for Abomasnow. So Abomasnow still has 140 HP instead of 190, which would be a bit broken if it does have that. So killing off the Abomasnow is gonna be really terrible, really destructive for them. If you play Weezing as well, you may actually knock out their Pokemons at the right time. If you play Weezing, it's gonna destroy Abomasnow, right? You can't just do it at the final hour though. You can do a boss and Cologne to kill off any Pokemons that has those added HP. If they have like 220 HP and if you have enough damage to kill it, but they are keeping it alive with the ability, you can actually shut down the ability to help you draw those extra prize. That may be a different strategy to play this game. So that's why Abomasnow is not really a good card anymore. We don't have any other way to shut down the ability other than knocking it out. The only thing I can think of is canceling Cologne, Boss, or Weezing. I don't see any other way to destroy that card. You can actually play Lost City and knock it out, completely deal with it. Then they can't actually boost it on next turn either. Okay, here comes our second Gligar. I really love Gliscor though. I mean, it's just amazing, isn't it? The transformation, the evolution. I mean, it's the art of it. It's transformative, isn't it? From Gligar to Gliscor, it's such a big transformation. It's such a huge upgrade. Like the vampiric, you really see the vampire quality. It's a whole new vibe to it, isn't it? Dracula. That's the vibe that I'm getting, Dracula. And I love it. Dracula Gliscor. It's actually a scorpion Pokemon though. I'm not sure why it's a half bat, half scorpion sort of thing. So it's a ground type. It's a ground type that can actually fly, sort of. It can glide. I don't think it can fly, it can glide. It can jump off a cliff and glide down safely onto the ground, onto lower ground, I guess. but I don't think it can fly. So it's a ground type and poison. It's not actually a flying type. So those wings aren't for flying, apparently. They're not really wings, honestly. They're like webs. Okay, here comes the VMAX. They should be evolving into the VMAX by now. And then not impact blow. What's it called again? Beat down for the knockout. They don't need a lot of damage to kill the Lucario. We did our first knockout with Aura Sphere Volley. And now we just need to deal with the second VMAX. The first VMAX actually, the second V. Laser focus, oh my goodness. So they don't have enough Houndooms to play Impact Blow. I think they did the Urn of Vitality a bit too early. They were expecting a Marnie, I guess. They should have done it. They should have waited a turn to play the Urn. And now all we need to do is paralyze. If we paralyze it though, they're just gonna evolve. So I'm not sure if we want to be playing our Gliscor right now. We don't have enough energies anyway. Let's just discard the boss. I'm not sure if that's a good idea. Always iffy. But we want to be drawing more cards into our hand. So I don't think we have a choice. We're going to discard more cards with Grant. One more, because we actually have to put it into our hand. So you are forced to only... You are only able to draw one extra card with Bibarel if you do Grant for the discard. We're going to shuffle back 2 energies because we don't need another Gliscor. We got the Zoroark and a second Gliscor in play. We got Zoroark, 2 Lucario. I think we should be good. We just need 3 more prize. We're going to evolve the Zoroark. We don't actually have... Oh, we evolved the Lucario, my bad. We don't have the energy, though, to attack. But we do have the Bruno. So we're going to play everything and then draw an energy with shuffle and draw, which is quite terrible. But we actually did get the energy because we removed as many cards as we can from our hand, raising the chances of us getting the energy before playing the Roaring Resolve, because if you play the Roaring Resolve, you would have much less energy to draw with your Bruno. So always sequence your actions right, sequence your decisions, make sure you arrange them in the right order. 130 damage, not bad. So we need 2 more strikes still, but we have a lot of turns, honestly. They got 5 prize remaining. If you play against a VMAX or a VSTAR, well, a VMAX especially, you have a high chance of winning. Against a VSTAR, I'm not too sure. Honestly, if you get that one lucky ohko with your Lucario though, late stage in the game, eventually you may be able to do Aura Sphere Volley for a VSTAR knockout, drawing 2 prize in a single turn. That can actually help you, win, race past your opponents in terms of prize draw. In terms of how many prize cards you're drawing every single turn, you may be 1 prize a little bit faster in terms of drawing your prize cards. So we won against Urshifu because they didn't get their evolution. It was a bit depressing because they couldn't evolve the VMAX. Right now we're up against a Clefairy. The new Lost Origin Clefairy. They got the Manaphy and the Radiant Greninja. Okay, we're gonna do Beetle for this game. They have a Manaphy in the active, so I don't think they can attack that easily on the first turn. I actually have no idea what they're playing whilst I was playing this game. When I was in gameplay mode, I don't really know what list they're working with, what they're gonna have. And now we know they're playing a Clefairy, so they can still do the knockout It's not a fighting type though, so they need, well, it doesn't really matter, does it? It only has 60 HP, so all they need is 3 energies. If they have enough switch cards, enough energy to attack, Gligar is dead, and then we need to recover. All we need to do is evolve into the Lucario though, so we are drawing one prize at a time. They are drawing one prize at a time. It really depends on who it falls down to. It comes down to who can draw the first prize and who can keep it consistent, who can keep on drawing one prize at a time every single turn. They have a Manaphy, so we can't actually do the bench snipe, but we're not playing any bench snipe cards for this deck anyways. So Manaphy is not doing anything. We're gonna play our Grant, so that means we just need 3 heads to kill the Clefairy. If we get 3 heads, we got our first prize this turn. Are we gonna get... There we go! We got 4 heads. We killed the first Clefairy with... I don't know what the attack is called. Pincers. Cyclone Pincers, I think? I'm trying to look at it. What Pincers is it? I think it's Cyclone Pincer. Flipping 4 coins and doing 10 damage for each heads. So you're flipping 4 coins for both the basic and the evolution, which is pretty cool, but you're only doing 10x damage for 1 energy, as opposed to 50x damage for 2 energies. And the extra effect of paralyzing them if you flip 2 heads. At least 2 heads. Same thing as your Pin Urchin, right? Pin Urchin from Sword and Shield, I think. The old Pin Urchin that allows you to flip 4 coins as well if you have 2 lightning energy attached to that Pokemon. For 40x damage if I'm not mistaken. I'm not really too sure. It's a basic though. It's a basic lightning Pokemon that does kind of the same thing as your Gliscor. So that means you get to kill a Palkia VSTAR with 1 hit if you flip enough heads. Whereas with your Gliscor, you can actually target Arceus VSTAR if they don't have a Dunsparce, or Hisuian Zoroark VSTAR. Okay, we're gonna do maybe the Zorua. So always check your hand. If you have like a Gliscor in your hand, you should be searching for a Gligar with your Quick Ball. If you have Lucario, you should be evolving that on the next turn. You should be preparing the evolution, because if you have less cards in your hand, you can draw more with your Bibarel, Radiant Venusaur, or your Snorlax. So we should always be thinking about drawing as much as we can to help us, to help with the flow. Because if you have the flow, you can keep on attacking every single turn. You can keep on, doing damage and drawing prize cards without break, non-stop, and that's what we want to be achieving. That's how we win the game. Do not stop attacking. If you pass 1 turn not doing anything, you're done for. So we got another extra prize with Raihan. Thanks to Raihan and Roaring Resolve, we got enough energies to attack with Lucario. We even have an extra one on Gligar for the next turn. So Lucario is not surviving this. It's gonna die this turn, unfortunately, because it's weak to a Psychic type. Fairy. And they have more than enough energy to kill it without the weakness anyways. 140 damage. Times 2. And here comes our Gliscor. We got our Cynthia. So we're just gonna attach the second Blunder Policy just so that just to increase our chances of getting the evolution with Cynthia, because we only are playing 2 copies. We may not get it with ours. With drawing only 6 cards from the deck. So that's why we drawing 7 would actually raises the chances of us getting either the Incense, Ultra Ball, or the Gliscor. It is our second copy after all. I think it's our first one, isn't it? Pretty sure it's our first Gliscor, because we didn't evolve our first one. We killed the first Clefairy with a Gligar. So... okay, there we go. It is our first Gliscor. We're gonna incense for nothing so that we get to draw other cards. Hopefully with Bibarel on the next turn. We're gonna grant to discard the VIP. So grant actually means you only need one heads. If you don't have a Glimwood Tangle, all you need is one heads to kill the Clefairy. Playing the grant, it may be helpful later on in the game. Okay, we just need to evolve the Lucario and attach one energy. Play the Zoroark and then kill off the final Clefairy with another transformed Lucario. So Lucario would be much better because we would eventually run out of Raihan. And we actually drew 3 cards and got another Raihan with the Blunder Policy, which is pretty good. Pretty cool. Our second Raihan on the next turn, and they just conceded because they got no rescue carrier. That means they need to do a lot on the next turn, not only to revive their Clefairies, but also to switch enough times and recycle the energy. So that's all for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll see you next time. Have a great day, and bye for now, lovely people. Enjoy your life.